अस्सलाम वालेकुम।
हाँ जी, अस्सलाम वालेकुम जी।
वालेकुम सलाम।
अच्छा, तो
We are now speaking live on YouTube as well.
दोनों चीजें हैं।
जी। So if I'm gonna send you a link, आप
अस्सलाम वालेकुम।
you can have it.
हाँ जी, अस्सलाम वालेकुम जी।
No, this is the other audio from
तो
YouTube. We are now speaking live on YouTube as well.
दोनों चीजें हैं।
जी। So if I'm gonna send you a link. The only problem is that there is a small little delay. No, this is the other audio from YouTube.
It's keep on repeating.
No, because it's one cycle is feeding the other. एक मिनट. अस्सलाम वालेकुम. मैं अभी लिंक भेजने लगा हूँ, आप उसके ऊपर क्लिक कर दीजिए. ठीक, अस्सलाम वालेकुम. अच्छा, ठीक है. अस्सलाम वालेकुम. So, okay, we're now having people joining in. Assalamu alaikum. If you're just joining us, inshallah, we'll start at 1 o'clock. We're just testing out some technology. You're facing the wrong direction. If you can turn around, के light आपके face पे आए.
हाँ, I know. लेकिन कुर्सी तो यही पड़ी है टेबल की साइड पे. तो I will change that and put the light.
या ये कि आप इसको बंद करके कमरे की लाइट ऑन कर लें तो then it will.
हाँ, यही मैं करूँ. Okay.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome, brother Yusuf Zai.
तो आप अलग से लिंक भेज रहे हैं कोई क्या या इसी पे करेंगे?
यही लिंक मैंने अभी रिमाइंड पे भेज दिया.
अच्छा, तो so it is just through the Zoom again.
It is Zoom again, but I can if we keep this meeting closed to the public and we only send the YouTube link to everyone, then and we send the link to this to only those people who we want them to talk. So you, me, Suhail, Sheikh Kareem, so that other people don't keep jumping in and their mics are all muted. We don't see them, we don't hear them. They see us and they hear us. And we can communicate with them through YouTube chat on another window.
तो टेस्ट नहीं आया मैंने इसको ऐसा कर दिया क्योंकि जब ऐसा करें ना.
Hello.
जी, we can hear you.
देख रहे मेरे को कैसा कर रहा. 5-4 मिनट और इसको ऑन कर रहे हैं। नहीं नहीं, तो 12:30 बजे करते। देख अब तो प्रॉब्लम आ रही है ना उनके। I say Imam reminder you may also join us through YouTube.
अगर आप ऑलरेडी हैं, आपको करने की जरूरत नहीं है।
अस्सलाम वालेकुम।
वालेकुम अस्सलाम।
मेरा भी आ रहा है?
हमें आपके
ठीक है,
सिर्फ बाल नजर आ रहे हैं।
बस यही मैं चाह रहा हूँ, मेरे बाल ही दिखते रहे बस।
अब हमें जला रहे हैं।
नहीं, मेरे पास असल में और भी, खैर बहरहाल बस आपका चेहरा दिख जाए बस वो काफी हमें।
आप ऐसा करें, आप इसको बेशक सीधा रख लें and you can turn your camera off if you don't want to show your camera.
अगर मैंने कैमरा ऑन कर दिया ना तो फिर बिल्कुल सब गायब हो जाएगा, इसलिए मैं डर के मारे नहीं करता उसको।
अच्छा चलें, ये देखें, I just closed your video.
हाँ बस शुक्रिया आपका, शुक्रिया।
And आप उसके अंदर you will see a button for camera. You can click that. If you click that, then your camera will turn on. So if you want to say something, it's always better if you can turn on the camera so we can see and hear the person we're talking to.
हाँ नहीं, मतलब ठीक है इंशाल्लाह।
ठीक है। And there's also a button for mute, which is a little mic. So when you're not speaking on the mic, then click the mute so that accidental voices don't go into the meeting.
हाँ, ठीक। अच्छा शुरू कर रहा हूँ।
But you're not talking. What?
अस्सलाम वालेकुम नदीम भाई।
जी वालेकुम सलाम भाई, क्या हाल चाल है जनाब?
अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह,
क्या हाल चाल है जनाब?
शुक्र है।
नदीम भाई, बासित भाई वहां से वो जो कश्मीर बाजार कभी जाना हुआ आपका?
जी कल बात हुई है रशीद अख्तर से, वो ले आए हैं। हाँ ले आए हैं उसमें से कैश निकाल के। तो मैंने कहा कि आप तो वो जो सोशल गैदरिंग, सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग है, तो कहता है नहीं मैं और अपने मिसेज ने बैठ के ना, तो उसको जो प्रोटोकॉल है उसको धूप में रख के सुखा के सारा कुछ करके फिर बाद में कर दिया है। और
मगर ये ख्याल करें आज हवाएं काफी तेज चल रही है, नहीं कि सूखने के अंदर वो
नहीं वो किसी चीज किसी चीज के अंदर रखा हुआ था सारा।
अच्छा अच्छा, फिर ठीक है। मैंने कहा आपने बाहर को सूखने के लिए डाल दिया, तो बस तो उसमें से ये है कि कुछ अपना जो है कोई अमाउंट निकला है?
हाँ जी।
अच्छा,
कह रहे थे कि कुछ चेक भी है, कुछ कैश भी है।
That's good.
I don't have the details, लेकिन ये कहते हैं कि मैं आशा को कॉल करके उनको बता दिया है।
I just want to make you so people are understanding कि भाई वो किस मकसद से लिया, क्या है। सही है।
Yeah, I'm sure.
Assalamu alaikum.
वालेकुम अस्सलाम, brother. How are you doing?
Assalamu alaikum.
वालेकुम अस्सलाम.
Dr. Saab, can you see my screen?
Okay.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see your screen. Yeah.
Can you see me playing around with these participants, the names of the participants?
I see you. I don't know what you're doing, but
I see brother Hassan Father. Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Alaikum salam, brother Basit. How are you doing?
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Hanging here.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. So far we have 12 participants, so you know.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Sister Jamila, how are you doing?
Alhamdulillah. How's everyone?
Alhamdulillah, everybody's doing good.
Mashallah, mashallah.
Okay.
Sister Jamila, you got my message yesterday?
Yes, sir. Alhamdulillah. Thank you.
Okay.
You're on mute.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I have muted everybody so we don't hear any background noise. After we are done with the tafsir, you are now able to unmute yourself and join us and say something if you need to. So inshallah, we'll begin where we left off last week, and we are discussing Surah Al-Dahr, or also known as Surah Insan, which is the 76th surah in the Quran. It is a Meccan surah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم هل أتى على الإنسان حين من الدهر لم يكن شيئا مذكورا. Last week we had discussed some of these ayat where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds a person of the initial stages of creation and how all human beings, no matter how powerful, no matter how proud, no matter how wealthy, no matter how famous, all of them came from a stage where they were so insignificant that it wasn't even that people didn't like mentioning him and or her. Basically, that is the earliest stages of creation in the womb, and that is not something that people really like to talk about, that this is what's going on. This is something that we keep private, and this was the reality of that human being who is now maybe claiming to be God besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Fir'aun also went through that stage, and then one day he turns around and he says, I am God and there's no other God besides me. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us, and we discussed a little bit how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us guidance, and we have a choice of being grateful or being ungrateful. Those who are ungrateful, for them there's a blazing fire and shackles and chains. And for the people who are grateful, for them is a reward that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that these are the people that these are people that their reward is that they will have an amazing drink in Jannah, which is a drink of pure wine, which has no evil in it, and it is flavored with camphor. عَيْنًا يَشْرَبُ بِهَا عِبَادُ اللَّهِ يُفَجِّرُونَهَا تَفْجِيرًا, from a spring where servants will drink, flowing at their will. So they will, wherever they want the spring to flow, it will flow right then and there. These are people who used to fulfill their vows, their pledges, These are people that when they made a promise, and of course, when it comes to vows, it is a word that it can refer to a person's promise to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it's mostly, commonly used for the promises to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where a person says that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cures my son from this disease, then I'm going to go for Hajj, or I'm going to do such and such, I'm going to go give such and such amount in charity. So if a person, the Islamic ruling is that if a person gets what they had pledged for, then it becomes an obligation upon them to fulfill that oath or that nadhr that they made. And if they die without having fulfilled it, then their children are supposed to pay off a debt that they owe to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why it is important that if anybody makes an oath such as that if such and such happens, then I will do such and such, then they should let their family members know that this is what I have pledged to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you don't see me fulfilling this oath and I die before I get a chance to do so, then you fulfill it for me. You fulfill it for me. Because just the way we should inform our family if we owe money to people, the same way that what we owe to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is more deserving of being fulfilled. Also, if a person made an oath, but now that oath is too difficult for them, or it is an oath for something haram, then in this case, that person needs to not fulfill that oath, but actually break that oath and pay a penalty of which is called kafaratul yameen, which is mentioned in the Quran, that they have to feed or clothe 10 people, or they have to fast 3 days. So there's a system there that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned that a person needs to do. Also, these people, they used to fear the day of judgment, and they used to feed the people, وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ, that they used to give food despite their desire for it. And it can also be interpreted as they used to give food, they used to feed people even based on the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ala hubbihi, he here could be referring to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or it could be referring to the wealth that they are spending in feeding the people. And they are feeding the poor, the orphan, the captive. Innama nut'imukum, and they're saying that we're not doing this because we want any reward from you. We don't even want thanks from you. We're doing this only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because we are afraid from a horribly distressful day. We are preparing for that day, and we are worried that we might come up there short. That's why we are doing all of these investment now. فَوَقَاهُمُ اللَّهُ شَرَّ ذَلِكَ الْيَوْمِ. So because they were preparing for that day, they were afraid of that day, they were conscious of that day, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that Allah will save them or deliver them from the horrors of that day, and grant them radiance and joy on that day. وَجَزَاهُمْ بِمَا صَبَرُوا جَنَّةً وَحَرِيرًا. And the reward for their patience and perseverance will be a garden in paradise and garments of silk. So now Allah is describing the luxury that they would be living in Jannah, that they will have these beautiful, soft, comfortable clothing, and they are living in a beautiful garden. مُتَّكِئِينَ فِيهَا عَلَى الْأَرَائِكِ. There they will be reclining on canopied couches. So these are couches that are shaded, very luxurious type of setup, couches, never seeing scorching heat or bitter cold. So this is one of the descriptions of Jannah, that the weather in Jannah is not very different from Augusta these days. Alhamdulillah, weather here is very good, right? It's not cold and it's not hot. Jannah will always be like that. It will not be too cold, it will not be too hot, it will just be the perfect weather that a person can desire. وَدَانِيَةً عَلَيْهِمْ ظِلَالُهَا وَذُلِّلَتْ قُطُوفُهَا تَذْلِيلًا. The garden's shade will be right above them, and its fruit will be made very easy to reach. So whatever fruits they want to eat, some of the scholars, they have interpreted this ayah that the trees where the fruits are growing respond to their desire of the heart. So if they just wish to eat something, that tree basically bows down in front of them so that they could just reach out with their hand and they could grab whatever it is that they want to eat from that. Whatever fruit they want to eat, it is very easy for them to reach while they're just sitting back, relaxing in a beautiful weather. They are shaded. They're not feeling the sun, but of course they are shaded because, of course, we all know that a sunny day is far more beautiful than a cloudy day. So it seems that they are shaded, which means that there is sun there, because of course a beautiful day requires sun to be there, right? So they are in a beautiful sunny day, weather is just perfect, they are reclining, and then whatever they want to eat is in easy reach of them. وَيُطَافُ عَلَيْهِمْ بِآنِيَةٍ مِّن فِضَّةٍ, and they will be waited on with silver vessels and cups of crystal. So the scholars have said that these will be cups which are made of silver, but this is a type of silver which is see-through. So this is something that we don't have in the dunya, we haven't seen, that crystal, which is actually silver, but it is see-through like that, like a glass made out of silver, except that we cannot really imagine how that would look. But this is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will provide for them in Jannah. And of course, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that it is haram for the ummah, for Muslims, men and women, to eat or drink in utensils of gold and silver, for men and for women. It is haram for men to wear silk, but for women it's allowed for them to wear silk. And it's haram for men to wear gold, but it's allowed for women to wear gold. But when it comes to utensils, then it is haram for both. They cannot be made of gold and they cannot be made of silver. If they're just called silverware, then that's no problem. But if it is actually made of silver, then that is a problem. So from what I hear is that if we were ever invited to a White House state dinner, we will not be allowed to use their default utensils, because from what I've heard that they're actually made of silver. The spoons and the forks and stuff that they use in the state dinners are actually made of silver, so we wouldn't be able to eat with those. We'll have to say, excuse me, can I get another set which is not made of silver? So they will be waited on with these silver vessels and cups of crystal, قوارير من فضة, crystalline silver, قدروها تقديرا, filled precisely as desired, filled precisely as desired. So one can imagine that, you know, sometimes you have a really good drink and it tastes so good, but you take a first sip, and that sip, because it tastes so good, the next time you look at it, you're like, oh, it's almost half gone already. And you're like, oh, it's gonna run out soon. But this cup is gonna refill as your heart desires. You will never run out of this. وَيُسْقَوْنَ فِيهَا كَأْسًا كَانَ مِزَاجُهَا زَنْجَبِيلًا, and they will be given a drink of pure wine flavored with ginger. And of course, these are just names for us. These are some amazing drinks that we cannot really imagine. You know, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, that Jannah is something that no eye has seen, no ear has heard, no heart has truly imagined what is actually there. These are just names for us to get some type of likening thing to it. عَيْنًا فِيهَا تُسَمَّى سَلْسَبِيلًا, flowing from a spring there called Salsabil, which is another special spring that is flowing there. Again, you know, just, I mean, we would say magical stuff, right? Except that in Jannah, everything that we imagine to be magic in this dunya is actually the reality in Jannah. Whatever you imagine, that is what happens. There are rivers, there are springs, there are gardens, there are shade. It's just, you know, the most amazing thing that a person can imagine, except that it's more than what we can imagine, way more. وَيَطُوفُ عَلَيْهِمْ وِلْدَانٌ مُخَلَّدُونَ إِذَا رَأَيْتَهُمْ حَسِبْتَهُمْ لُؤْلُؤًا مَنْثُورًا. They will be waited on by eternal youth. So these are servants. These are young-aged, young boys that are, if you saw them, you would think that they were scattered pearls. So just, you know, these are servants that a person feels happy that this, you know, good-looking person is my servant. This is you know, somebody that looks like a prince, but he's actually serving me. He's my servant. And of course, all of this is a reward for the simple life and the patient life that people spent in this world. وَإِذَا رَأَيْتَ ثَمَّ رَأَيْتَ نَعِيمًا وَمُلْكًا كَبِيرًا. And if you looked around, you would see indescribable bliss and a vast kingdom. So everywhere you look, it is just, indescribable bliss. This is really the word, right? Indescribable. Everything that we are hearing, this is a description that our minds can understand. But in reality, it's not really describable. We don't have language for that in humanity. This is something that Allah has saved for the people who are patient in this life for His sake. And a vast kingdom, and a vast kingdom. And this is of course, everything in Jannah is a contrast to the type of life that a person lived in this world. And everything in hellfire is a contrast to the life that that person who is now in hellfire lived in this world. So, of course, there are exceptions where a person who's living in a big house and a very big garden and has a vast state, he's a righteous person. But normally speaking, right? Even a person who's a righteous person, a lot of times they cannot live the same life that disbelievers are living. They have to follow Islamic guidelines. They have to be patient. They have to make sacrifices. They can't just do what everyone else is doing. So in Jannah, all restrictions will be lifted. Allah will grant them all vast kingdoms, and they will be able to travel through that kingdom and in the blink of an eye, and just indescribable bliss. عَالِيَهُمْ ثِيَابُ سُنْدُسٍ خُضْرٌ وَإِسْتَبْرَقٍ. The virtuous will be dressed in garments of fine green silk and rich brocade. وَحُلُّوا أَسَاوِرَ مِنْ فِضَّةٍ. Adorned with bracelets of silver. وَسَقَاهُمْ رَبُّهُمْ شَرَابًا طَهُورًا. And their Lord will give them a purifying drink. And subhanAllah, this is the third drink that is being mentioned here. The third drink that's being mentioned here. And of course, one of the characteristics of the people of Jannah are the people who fasted, who even on a hot day, even when they were working in landscaping, they were working construction jobs, they were thirsty, they still withheld and they basically stayed away from those delicious drinks that they could have had. Ice cold water on a hot day, sweating, thirsty, but they said no, for the sake of Allah we're not. So on the day of in Jannah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying you will have some stuff to drink that you cannot even imagine right now. Third time that a drink is being mentioned in one surah, in one page of the Quran. So what is this a reward for? What is this a reward for? إِنَّ هَذَا كَانَ لَكُمْ جَزَاءً وَكَانَ سَعْيُكُمْ مَشْكُورًا. And they will be told, all this is surely a reward for you. Your striving has been appreciated. Your time in difficulty is being appreciated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And all the difficulty that you went through, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not forget. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not forget. Inna nahnu nazzalna alayka al-Qur'ana tanzila. And now this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaking to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam in the first person or second person. And he's saying, indeed, it is we who have revealed the Quran to you, O Prophet, in stages. And inshallah, we're discussing our Seerah series, and in that we are just up to the first revelation, and we will see how there are difficult times that come, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals an ayah, Allah reveals a surah to calm the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to reassure him. So this is from one of the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that the Quran is truly appreciated in stages. So if a person were to sit down, the Prophet ﷺ said that whoever read the Quran in less than 3 days did not understand anything. The Quran is not something that is meant to be read from cover to cover. The way it is revealed, it is that you take piece by piece. You take piece by piece. And if you are well aware of the Quran, when you're going through a difficult time and then you read Surah Yusuf, for example, you will find the satisfaction that you would not have found if you just read it from cover to cover without there being a difficulty on you. This is, this miraculous adaptive nature of the Quran. And what an amazing blessing it is that whatever difficulty you're going through, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses that. When you're going through a period of quarantine, when you're going through a period of quarantine, there's a surah in the Quran. There's a surah in the Quran which talks about people going into quarantine, right? People going into quarantine. And who are these people? Inshallah, if those of you who are on the computer, maybe you can type in the chat box. Maybe you can type in the chat box what surah you think is the one which is about quarantine. Okay, inshallah, I'll see who knows the answer to that. It's a little trivia. So, Inna nahnu nazzalna alayka al-Qur'ana tanzila. Indeed, it is we who have revealed the Quran to you, O Prophet, in stages. That's the correct answer. That's the correct answer. So that is a surah, Surah Kahf, the surah of the cave, right? So these people who went in the quarantine because the people they lived with were basically, they were afraid that they will be arrested. Surah Yunus is another one, yes. So that is more of a forced quarantine, right? Surah Yunus is a forced quarantine. Surah Kahf is a voluntary quarantine. And of course, our own Prophet ﷺ, he was going in quarantine in the cave of Hira so much. So quarantine is not always bad, right? Lockdown is not always bad. It's just always better if you choose it instead of somebody else choosing it for you. فَاصْبِرْ لِحُكْمِ رَبِّكَ وَلَا تُطِعْ مِنْهُمْ آثِبًا أَوْ كَفُورًا. So be patient with your Lord's decree, and do not yield to any evildoer or staunch disbeliever from among them. So meaning that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed that the people who are disobeying are not going to be punished right away. This is the decree. When the punishment is going to come, it's going to come then. You can't speed it up. You can't delay it. So be patient. Whatever your Lord has decreed, be patient with that. And when people will come, they will pressure you, they will try to hurt you, they will try to force you. Whatever happens, stay firm on your orders and do not obey the evildoers. Do not obey the disbelievers, the staunch disbelievers, kafura. They will try their best, as Allah says in the Quran in Surah Al-Qalam, وَدُّوا لَوْ تُدْهِنُوا فَيُدْهِنُونَ. That when they tried to force the Prophet to change, it didn't work. So they said, okay, let's make a compromise. We will compromise and you compromise too, right? But the example of this is that those people have no religion. They just made up their religion as they went along. So they have nothing to lose by changing their religion. But we have a lot to lose because it's the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we are obeying. So a person who has nothing in his pocket, he comes to a millionaire. He says, okay, you know what? You lose some and I lose some. So he says, okay, let's do half and half. Okay, so you take $500,000, I'll take $500,000. The guy who has $1 million, he lost half of his wealth. And the guy who had nothing, he just got $500,000 for nothing. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that, stay firm on what you were commanded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَدُّوا لَوْ تُدْهِنُوا فَيُدْهِنُونَ وَلَا تُطِعْ كُلَّ حَلَّافٍ مَهِينٍ. Again, the same command. Don't obey those people. They will swear to you. They will do all these type of techniques and tricks on you. Don't obey them. What should you do instead when you feel the pressure? When you feel the pressure of the world around you, when you feel the pressure of those who are opposing you, what you should do, and this is a reminder for all of us, whenever you feel stressed, this is the answer. وَاذْكُرِ اسْمَ رَبِّكَ بُكْرَةً وَأَصِيلًا. Always remember the name of your Lord morning and evening. So this is making dhikrullah. Making dhikrullah. And there are many forms of dhikrullah. Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah, hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. Any dhikr which is mentioning the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you know what you are saying, if you repeat that, it will bring calmness, it will bring serenity to your heart. It will bring serenity to your heart in the most stressful of times. Of course, the greatest dhikr is to recite the Quran and to find inspiration in the Quran in your situation. And of course, if somebody was going through a difficult time, the ayah فَاصْبِرْ لِحُكْمِ رَبِّكَ وَلَا تُطِعْ مِنْهُمْ آثِمًا أَوْ كَفُورًا وَاذْكُرِ اسْمَ رَبِّكَ بُكْرَةً وَأَصِيلًا would be the perfect ayah for them to reflect on. وَمِنَ اللَّيْلِ فَاسْجُدْ لَهُ وَسَبِّحْهُ لَيْلًا طَوِيلًا. and prostrate before him during part of the night and glorify him long at night. So now, one of the things that the scholars mention is that for the early Muslims in Mecca and the Prophet ﷺ, all throughout his life after the first revelation, for him to pray at night was an obligation. For him to pray tahajjud was an obligation. And until the 5 daily prayers came in the Mi'raj, in the Isra wal Mi'raj, until then, all Muslims were required to pray tahajjud, or, as we say, taraweeh. They were required, they were obligated to pray that every night. However, once the 5 daily prayers came, then tahajjud or taraweeh became a voluntary ibadah for the Muslims, but it remained an obligation for the Prophet ﷺ. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Isra, وَمِنَ اللَّيْلِ فَتَهَجَّدْ بِهِ نَافِلَةً لَكَ. And in the night, then pray the tahajjud, فَتَهَجَّدْ بِهِ نَافِلَةً لَكَ. This is extra on you. This is extra on you. Here again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that for you, وَمِنَ اللَّيْلِ فَاسْجُدْ لَهُ وَسَبِّحْهُ لَيْلًا طَوِيلًا, and prostrate before him during part of the night. So because the Prophet's job was so stressful, for him, it was an obligation to pray tahajjud. So the lesson we learn from here is that if a person is in a difficult, stressful position of da'wah, where they're trying to where they're struggling with their family, inviting them to Islam, they're struggling with their co-workers, they're struggling with their spouse, and they're going through a difficult time, they will find peace, inspiration, and serenity in Qiyamul Layl. They will find that in Qiyamul Layl. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes the reality of, or the essence of difficulty, where it's coming from the people, the essence of the enemies of Islam, the enemies of the da'wah. What is the reason? Why are they trying to stop this? Allah says, إِنَّ هَؤُلَاءِ يُحِبُّونَ الْعَاجِلَةَ وَيَذَرُونَ وَرَاءَهُمْ يَوْمًا ثَقِيلًا. Surely these pagans, they love this fleeting world, totally neglecting a weighty day ahead of them. So they understand that if they accept Islam, they have to make some sacrifices in this world. And they don't want to make those sacrifices. They want to just have fun now. So they love the cash, and they're not worried about the credit, right? So if a person is given $1,000 and says, you know what, and he's told that this $1,000 is for you to buy food for the next 2 months. So a smart person will say, okay, I need to ration, and I need to make sure that this $1,000 are going to last, because if I spend everything today on some expensive food, I'm not going to have any food, once I run out of that food. So, but the unintelligent person, he goes on a splurge. He goes and he spends steaks and expensive food. He goes to a restaurant and he pays $200 for one meal. And within like 2 or 3 days or 5 days or 1 week, he runs out of his money. And now the rest of the time he has nothing. So Allah gives us this example that these people, they want to splurge now, and they're not worried about what's coming later. But the smart people, the believers, are the people that are saying, we're going to sacrifice now. Even if we don't get to splurge now, we want to make sure that when the time comes, when we are not getting any more money, we will still have food to feed ourselves at that time. So, إِنَّ هَؤُلَاءِ يُحِبُّونَ الْعَاجِلَةَ وَيَذَرُونَ وَرَاءَهُمْ يَوْمًا ثَقِيلًا نَحْنُ خَلَقْنَاهُمْ وَشَدَدْنَا أَسْرَهُمْ وَإِذَا شِئْنَا بَدَّلْنَا أَمْثَالَهُمْ تَبْدِيلًا. It is we who created them and perfected their physical form. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, we know how we created them. We know everything about them. وَإِذَا شِئْنَا, but if we will, we can easily replace them with others. If they're not believing, if they're not obeying, no problem. This is not something that's going to make us feel weak, or this is not going to something that's going to make us stuck in our position. We can easily replace them. This is not a big deal at all. Inna hadhihi tadhkira. Surely this is a reminder. فَمَنْ شَاءَ اتَّخَذَ إِلَىٰ رَبِّهِ سَبِيلًا. So let whoever wills take the right way to their Lord. Whoever wants, let them follow this reminder. وَمَا تَشَاءُونَ إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ عَلِيمًا حَكِيمًا. But you cannot will to do so unless Allah wills. Indeed, Allah is all-knowing, all-wise. So one way to look at what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying in ayah number 30 is to look at it this way, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that you cannot make it to Jannah, you cannot find success except if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you that success. So what you need to do is you need to humble yourself and you need to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Allah, show me the right way, guide me on the right way, put me on the right way. If a person does not bring that humility inside of him or her, then they will not be able to somehow sneak through and go straight and somehow be successful in the hereafter. That way only goes through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for him to then show you the right way. So you have to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that pleasing Allah is simply done from your heart. Change arrogance and bring humility inside of you and ask Allah, Ya Allah, forgive me for what I have done in the past. Forgive me for my attitude. Here I am, show me the right way. And once a person does that, then there will be no obstacle in his path, because Allah says that whoever, the Prophet ﷺ said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that if you take one step towards me, I take 2 steps towards you. So that's all we need to do. يُدْخِلُ مَن يَشَاءُ فِي رَحْمَتِهِ. He admits whoever he wills into his mercy. Okay, again, that if you want to go to Allah, if you want to be in Jannah, if you want to have success in the hereafter, which is Rahmah, which is Jannah, all of these are different names of just success. If you want that, you have to get it from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You can't say, I'm going to just enjoy my life and then somehow I'm going to find a shortcut, I'm going to pay somebody and I will get in the door. That's not going to happen. وَالظَّالِمِينَ أَعَدَّ لَهُمْ عَذَابًا أَلِيمًا. And for the wrongdoers, He has prepared for them a painful punishment. For the wrongdoers, He has prepared for them a painful punishment. So this is the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says is for success. You get mercy from Allah or you get punishment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the proper understanding. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us from among the people who will be successful. If anybody has any questions, you have to just click unmute button on your controls and you can speak if you have any questions, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
I think someone was talking.
Yeah, I will let the sister go first. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Sister Zaida.
Shukran. This actually might be a really silly question because I'm not familiar with Arabic. But the drink of salsabila, and then at the bottom, towards the end of the surah, Allah grants the goodness of sabila. Can you pull it up one more time, Imam Jawad, because I lost it.
Okay.
I want to know if salsabila and sabila is two same words.
So there is salsabila and there is...
And there's sabila. It's towards the bottom, one of the last 3 ayats. It's towards the bottom.
So the first one is يُفَجِّرُونَهَا تَفْجِيرًا. The second one is salsabila.
No.
And the bottom one is sharaban tahura.
Okay, so the drink is salsabila. And then at the bottom, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala admits whom He wills. Okay, a little bit further up. Right there.
Sabila. Here.
Surely this is the reminder, so let whoever wills take the right way to their Lord. Sabila. Is there any connection in those 2 words?
So sabila means the way. Sabil means the way. So Salsabil, this is a name that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, right? So when it comes to names are often, especially when it comes to things, they usually have something to do with the characteristic of that thing which is named, right? So Salsabila maybe has to do with the way this spring flows, right? But Sabila, linguistically, which is in the last one, that one is referring to the way of Allah, sabilillah.
في سبيل الله. نعم. طيب شكرا.
Yeah. Anyone, brother Jafar?
Okay, I have a question. About the like sabila and sharaban tahura. If this refers to water or milk, because I heard it's milk, but I didn't know.
So sharaban tahura doesn't mention, what kind of drink it is, right? Okay. وَسَقَاهُمْ رَبُّهُمْ شَرَابًا طَهُورًا. Their Lord will give them a purifying drink. So it could be milk. It could be, there are 4 rivers in Jannah. There's a river of water, pure water. There's a river of honey. There's a river of milk, and there's a river of pure wine. And of course, any one of those are better than anything we can drink in this world. And the milk is, so pure, so amazing. The honey is so amazing. The sharab, the wine is so amazing. So here Allah doesn't mention what drink it is, but it could be the milk drink, maybe with ruafza or something like that.
I believe Sanal's there.
Okay, so I wanted to ask when you were talking about those drinks and stuff, don't we drown in them if we swim, because humans can't swim in anything except water?
Well, so in the dunya, the humans can die, right, from not being able to breathe. But in Jannah, there's no dying. So perhaps we'll be able to swim in those rivers and we will not drown. In fact, we'll be able to fly through them and swim through them and snorkel, or whatever it is that you want to do, you'll be able to do over there, inshallah.
And also, if you don't mind, I have another question. Can you please say the dua again that you just said, because I want to hear it again.
Which dua? Do you mean Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil?
No, the dua that says that means Allah will take everything out of your path and that.
وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. That those who struggle towards it, this is not a dua, this is actually an ayah, that whoever struggles towards us, that they are going through a difficult time to come to us, then we will open the way for them. We will show them many ways, not just one. لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. And we will guide them to the many different paths towards us.
Thank you. Jazakumullah khairan.
Jazakallah, I think.
Okay, Imam. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Inshallah, that's very nice. Thank you for the good lecture as always. This will begin, inshallah, the business portion of our meeting, as we've been having weekly since this coronavirus issue. Inshallah, everyone's having a peaceful Ramadan. It's different Ramadan, but it's still Ramadan. So alhamdulillah, we're all fasting and praying and doing our best to come close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A few updates. We had an EC meeting last evening. We've also been meeting weekly to discuss anything ongoing. So I'll share with everyone what we've been doing. Obviously, as hopefully you're aware, there's a fundraiser. Brother Gil sent out a video. We sent out a video. Brother Gil and his team worked on it with us as well to advertise a fundraiser, which is next Sunday, May 10th at 1 p.m. with a guest speaker who'll be appearing virtually, Sheikh Karim Abu Zaid, who is familiar to our community. He's very knowledgeable, a very good speaker. He'll be talking at 1 o'clock. And then after that, inshallah, we'll have a fundraising virtually. So that will be next Sunday at 1 p.m. Please make sure to join and tell your friends, tell your family, folks that are from outside the area. The more people that can tune in, inshallah, the more that will be beneficial and the more we can generate the funds to keep on the programming and keep on the activities as much as we possibly can. Next issue is the voucher program at the Kashmir Bazaar is active. If people are in need of food aid, iftar, for iftar specifically, but if they're in need of this kind of aid, they can request a voucher through the ISA website or by contacting this ISA secretary. And we will generate a voucher which can then be used at Kashmir Bazaar. That program seems to be working quite well. We have spent but we're looking at the exact numbers, but we have collected over, I think, $2,000 and given out about that much. So it's basically $4,000 and given out almost all what has come in. So although that's budget neutral. Next issue, which is on everyone's mind, is the masjid. How do we open it? When do we open it? What's the process? And basically, we are again following state and local guidelines along with the expert guidelines. The state of Georgia, obviously, as everyone's aware, has opened, by Governor Kemp's orders, with the exception of the elderly and medically fragile. That he has requested them to shelter in place until June the 12th. And of course, there's been a lot of back and forth. Was this too soon? Is it not too soon? We want to, again, our job is to keep everyone safe as possible. We want to see everyone, but we also want to do it in a way that is safe. So the EC did yesterday vote and discussed options from, all the different options that we have available. And one we had decided on was to keep the building itself, the masjid building, closed through the month of Ramadan, but open the outside areas, to open the gates so we can pray, inshallah, in congregation while maintaining a couple of strict guidelines. One is children under age of 10 are not to attend. So a 10 to 64, we should wear masks. We should be 6 foot apart from each other person, and come pray and leave, and begin praying with one salah per day, Isha, for example, and increase that as we're able to. So these are the steps we've taken to begin the process of opening the masjid, because it's not like a switch you flip on and off. It's going to be a gradual process, because we don't want to have what's called the second wave of infections, or people who, again, are at risk, the elderly, folks on dialysis, folks who have diabetes. We have plenty of folks who have all those categories, and we don't want to put them at risk, because if we, we're as strong as the weakest person. If we lose one person from coronavirus, that's one person too many. So this is the updates that I have. I'll turn it over to Brother Gil for the BOT side of the discussion, and happy to take any questions, inshallah.
Okay. Jazakallah khair. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So I think the first issue is just our finances for the fundraiser. So I think we sent this video, which alhamdulillah, it was turned out pretty nice. And so I think by this time everybody should have seen this video. If not, Imam, can you run the video again so everybody can see? Is that possible? Can we run on your screen?
Okay, give me a minute.
Okay, then while I'm talking, then you can show. Okay, inshallah.
The whole video takes about 8 minutes. So
no, it's about 6 minutes, brother. You're adding 2 more minutes into that. I know each and every second of that video. So it was 6 minutes and some seconds, not 8. But anyhow, we have plenty of time. We can see 8 minutes. Nothing to do. So anyhow, I think the way the format will be.
Okay, did you hear anything?
Yeah, I can hear that thing, but
okay,
we want to see that whole thing for everybody, because I'm.
رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان فمن شهد منكم الشهر فليصم ومن كان مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخر يريد الله بكم اليسر ولا يريد بكم العسر ولتكملوا العدة ولتكبروا الله على ما هداكم ولعلكم تشكرون. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Ramadan Kareem. Allah has blessed us this month of Ramadan, although this year our Ramadan is very different from all previous years. May Allah keep us healthy to complete this month of Ramadan with khushu and sincerity. We at the Islamic Society of Augusta would like to invite you and your families for a special event. We are hosting a virtual fundraiser on Sunday, May 10th at 1 p.m. Sheikh Kareem Abu Zaid will be joining through Zoom for this special event along with our own Imam Jawad Rasool. Sheikh Kareem has also sent good wishes and a brief message for Augusta Muslim community.
My dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Imam Kareem Abu Zaid, a familiar face to your community, the Islamic Center of Augusta. And brothers and sisters in Islam, this is my invitation to all of you to join me kindly to help your community, We are going through unprecedented case here, never happened before, that we can't be together the night of the 27th to raise the necessary funds in order to support our community. But we want our work to continue in spite of. That's the attitude of believers, regardless, brothers and sisters in Islam. Mark your calendars. May 10th, 1 o'clock p.m. I will be joining you on Zoom to encourage you, brothers and sisters in Islam, to support your community. And remember, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in Ramadan used to be more generous than ever, based on Hadith Abdullah ibn Abbas, Sahih Bukhari. The Prophet used to be more generous than ever. And his generosity would increase in Ramadan because of the Quran. Let's join hands, inshallah, May 10th at 1 o'clock through a Zoom broadcast. The brothers in the community will notify you of how to join the conversation, inshallah. And let's raise the necessary funds needed for our community in Augusta. I love you all for the sake of Allah, and I'm still looking forward to seeing you. I was actually planned to see you before Ramadan, but قدر الله وما شاء فعل. جزاكم الله خيرا. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'd like to invite you all to a very special program that's going to be taking place on the 10th of May at 1 p.m. on Zoom, in which Sheikh Kareem Abu Zaid is going to be joining us live. So I really hope that we can all get together to support our beautiful masjid and all the beautiful programs that we do here. Our masjid is one of the most active masajid in America, and I have traveled many states, many cities, and I have done programs in masajid all across America, and I have not seen a masjid which is as active as ours. There are a few handful of masajid in America that are as active, that have as many programs going on simultaneously as our masjid here in Augusta. For a very small community, this is a huge accomplishment. And I hope that we can convince everyone to understand how important it is to continue to support these beautiful programs. I hope to see you all in our special program on 10th of May at 1 p.m. with Sheikh Kareem Abu Zaid. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Sohail Khan from the Islamic Society of Augusta. Please mark your calendars for Sunday, May 10th at 1 p.m. for a special program featuring guest speaker Kareem Abu Zaid. The link to the program will be provided on the website and in the newsletter. Once again, this program is on Sunday, May 10th at 1 p.m. The link will be in the website and the newsletter. I hope to see you all there. Inshallah. Ramadan Mubarak. Assalamu alaikum.
ومن أحسن قولا ممن دعا إلى الله وعمل صالحا وقال إنني من المسلمين.
Jazakallah, everybody saw the video. I think the next step, this inshallah, is to inform others, like right now I can see that there's a 30 participant today, but we need at least 100 next week, and that is our job obligation on everyone who's listening right now or watching this, is to inform others, family members, other friends in the community, whatever ways it means. Inshallah, we'll be using all those things to inform everyone to join, because the success of this program will only be if more people can join and and participate in that. Imam is also trying to see if we can do combining, which is, I think, probably he's already have done even today's meeting also, that YouTube and the Zoom together. Imam, can you describe that about the combination of these two things?
Yeah, so if you can, you can see my screen right now. So this is actually, while we're having a Zoom meeting, we are also live streaming this meeting on Zoom. And there are 13 people watching us from YouTube. So however many participants we have 30 on Zoom and we have 13 on YouTube. So let's say that we have more than 100 participants, then Zoom will not allow them more than 100 to join. So what we can do is we will use YouTube as a bridging technology to allow those people to join as well. And we'll be able to not have a limit on how many people can join us. Also, we can share this live streaming on Facebook as opposed to a Zoom link. And inshallah, we will not have any problem connecting people with us on that day.
Okay, Jazakallah. So inshallah, we'll send all these links hopefully today. For the Zoom, for the YouTube, and all those links will be, inshallah, will be today. And we can please request again, humble request to all the participants, if they can send those people, even if you are duplicating, that's fine, just a reminder. And inshallah, we will be also sending a daily reminder for this upcoming meeting. And so the format will be that. I think that's an important thing. The what format? Myself, Imam, and Sohail will be, inshallah, will be the main Makkah hall, and we will be conducting the meeting from there. Sheikh Kareem will join, and he will give us a talk almost about for 35-40 minutes, whatever time, the initial time. And after that, we will start requesting the donations. The format of donations will be that we'll have at least 4 other brothers and sisters will be sitting, 2 in the probably in the library distance, and 2 in the our office. But the phone number will be shared on the screen. Their phone numbers will be shared on the screen, and anyone can text, call, or send any way that money or pledge through that time. And we will receive that pledge through the text through these 4 numbers, and we'll keep constantly updating the community that how much we have achieved our goal for that particular time. And that's how this format, these will be the pledges, inshallah. For the paying, we can receive the checks, we can receive online. We have different ways. So basically, these are for the pledges. Inshallah, once you receive the pledge, I know, alhamdulillah, our community is very generous and they always fulfill their pledges. So we need to inform them. So this is the format will be there. And anyone have any question or comments to add on this thing about this format, and or any better idea? Mainly, we just need to we'll give the target of the amount, and inshallah. So again, people call the number or text the number, or if you want to give your pledges ahead of time, please text me or Imam or anyone. So 4 people will be sitting there. It will be our treasurer from the EC, Brother Walid, treasurer from the from BOT is Aisha, and I would say Brother Hisham and Brother Jafar. If they are all there, is that will be okay? I'm asking all these 4 people if they are there. I know I already
Inshallah.
Yes,
Inshallah.
Okay, and they have no problem in giving the telephone number, the cell phone numbers on the screen, which we will have ahead of time, so Imam can make this, that size of screen, and then we'll be talking. Now, I can tell you that I've seen the format of this again, the Dallas Masjid in Dallas, and they, alhamdulillah, Brother Yasir Qadi was there and others, and it's still, initially the money was coming slowly. So we anticipate, and it takes about more than 1 hour. So be patient. Alhamdulillah, we have something to do on these days when we're sitting home, and we can just take 1 hour and a half hour, whatever time will take to collect this amount. Inshallah, we'll do that. And this will be, so this is the format. Any other question about this regard? Anyone have any question? Okay. If not, then I think, alhamdulillah. And again, if somebody wants to put the pledges there in the box, which is right now at the Kashmir Bazaar, our grocery store, they can do that. They can send to the check. They can send to the for email to our website, which have everything, donation, everything all there. We're trying to make sure that everybody's information will be secured, and nobody will be have. But again, if somebody wants to ask us not to mention their name on that, we will respect that, and we will keep them anonymous. But inshallah, it is just in this kind of time, it encourages others to participate, and inshallah, this will be our goal, and we'll participate. And that's again, we have repeated the dates and time again and again. Next Sunday, same time, and then we can decide if we want to do tafsir after that, or maybe we'll skip the tafsir on that day. I'll leave that up to the Imam how he wants to.
I don't think that I want to do tafsir after Sheikh Kareem.
Okay, so inshallah, so hopefully, and so this is the format on that. Now, I think coming to the Brother Suhail mentioned about this, about the opening of the masjid. I think EC have discussed that thing, which seems like a reasonable option. The only thing I can say that from my point of view, and then we will discuss in the BOT, we don't want to keep this format for the whole Ramadan. I was there this morning, so I talked to Brother Razak. We have identified a place where we can do the prayers outside, and that will be outside basketball court. Outside basketball court. Why? Because they have lights there. It's a little bit raised, so at least it's clean, and we will be doing the further cleaning of this today. So inshallah, this will be ready for today. If you want to start the Isha outside today, we'll see how things will go. In my view, and again, I will talk to the BOT, but I'm just talking only from personally, that if you do few days outside, and if the things people are behaving and we're keeping our distance, 6 feet distance, first of all, everybody have to bring their own prayer rug. Number one, very important. Number two, everybody should be wearing the mask. If for some reason somebody didn't have the mask, we do have some masks at the masjid, and we will also have some cloth masks. So we will provide those things, but it is absolutely necessary that everybody should keep the mask on while they're there. Only other request is this, as is outside, and as Brother Suhail mentioned, the kids 10 years or younger should not be coming, and also request sisters at this time, because sisters are not obligated to come to masjid. For the preference for them, as Prophet said, they can stay at home. So sisters can also stay at home. Only the brothers, if somebody is elderly, if they feel like they are not immunocompromised or so, they should stay at home. So we will start with this, inshallah, outside. If the things are working fine and we feel the next step, which is in my mind that is okay, we can open the lobby of the masjid. Why lobby, not the prayer hall? Because lobby is the solid floor that could be mopped, could be cleaned very easily, and instead of praying hall, which I have the carpets, everything like that, is difficult to sometimes disinfect the carpet. Rather than the solid floor, we can mop and do all kind of disinfectant over there. So next day will be probably opening the lobby, and inshallah, with the, as Brother Suhail said, that we'll watching others what they're doing, and then inshallah slowly moving towards the inside. Now the question is this, Brother Suhail, what exactly are we doing? 5-time prayers there, at least?
So the discussion was to begin with Isha, because that would start small. I think Maghrib, obviously people have to eat, and eating in a public setting is not good because you're mingling and things. So we're starting with Isha as soon as tonight, and going from there.
Well, so if we can, I will add to that. If we can start at Isha, we can start also with the Fajr and Isha both, because both are similar, same time. And so Alhamdulillah, some of us, doing the Fajr there inside, so we can do Fajr. The reason I pick up this basketball court, because they have two big lights, which is on all night, and it's all clean. There should not be any insects or other possibilities of there, and it's all clean area, and we can bring our prayer rugs. And Imam, what's your suggestion to this?
Yeah, this is actually what we discussed yesterday in our meeting with the EC, that we'll do it at the Isha. Now, what we discussed yesterday, just communicating that what we discussed is that we're only doing Isha now, and if it goes well, we can do the next step as do Fajr. The reason is because in the last few days, when we were doing socially distant prayer in the masjid, there were some people who felt that this whole thing is a joke. And while people were standing 6 feet apart, they laughed at this whole thing, and they came and they stood next to someone else.
Yeah, but brother, that was before the 60,000 people have died. So
right.
Right. Now everybody understand, what is the situation. That was when you're talking about when there's only few people who died. Now 60,000 people. So now everybody understands the concerns and risk and everything like that. I don't think so anyone have any issue with that. I think main thing, I suggest that why don't we start Fajr and Isha both, inshallah, and rest of the days, we can do at home. And so at least we'll add to Ibadah. And there's no reason to start, one at a time, because in any case, there will be limited people at Fajr, so Isha will be more. And I will still say that, we'll do the first there, and then Sunnah and everything like that people can do at the home, and do inshallah.
And we'll today, so inshallah we'll start today, and we'll do Isha according to the prayer schedule, which is 9:50 p.m. 9:50 p.m. That is correct, right? Or we can just do 9:45 p.m. today. We'll do 9:45 p.m. and then we will, adjust accordingly in the future day.
And what time you want to do Fajr? Because so we can do it 5:35.
I'm just opening the prayer calendar.
If I may, I want to just tap in with the weather. It might be a little bit cold in the morning for Fajr.
That's fine, brother. You have nice. We will have an extra jacket or something. And again, it's not obligated for everyone to come. Whoever wants to come, inshallah, will come and join.
Inshallah.
Okay, so I think that we'll have to do Fajr at 5:45 a.m. right now.
5:45, okay. So with these two prayers will starting. One of the other option was that Brother Allah have mentioned about that, to ask people to limit the people and just do like few people will be doing which assigned people will be doing the rest of the prayer like Zuhur, Asr, and Maghrib time. Anyone have any suggestion, Brother Allah? You have presented this thing, so what's your thinking about that, if you can? Or you feel like we should start from this and then inshallah move on to the next step?
Well, I agree now with the EC that they want to have step by step. And again, what's more important is how our community behaves. Now, I understand that people are sometimes, most of the people, they understand the situation. Sometimes people have objection here or there. So making it gradually, that's fine. And I see the point that you have mentioned, very nice, that regarding the place that we pray, that of course I would like to be able to praise inside the building, but again, I know that that to make it clear and infectious and so on. So it's a good idea that just take it step by step, and probably next week that we'll have the other prayers, and we can use the prayer, the entrance hall. There is a good idea to use the entrance hall because it will be easy to clean. So I'll just go with the EC now, with your recommendation that we have Isha and Fajr. Inshallah, maybe next week we'll have better position and see how our people, the rugs and masks, everybody is taking care of the instructions.
Yeah, and again, you know, one request definitely that please do not bring the small kids, because then it will be difficult to keep the social distancing. Because yeah, your kids are with you at home, but they are not with others. So it will be difficult to keep the social distance because kids sometimes run. Yeah, I don't know. These are the kids; they can do that. And but
No,
I think
just to add that we are basically opening up for those that Salah is an obligation upon to be in the masjid.
yes,
The kids less than 10 years old, they are not obligated to even pray. So there's no reason that they should be in the masjid right now. So this is a, you know, if people are violating, if people are not following rules, then maybe we have to retract in the other direction. So please don't do that. Follow the rules.
and I think Brother Shah have mentioned, you know, these days it's a little bit cooler outside, so make sure that somebody, you know, everybody's bringing their own jacket or whatever, you know, to cover themselves. So at least.
And try to make wudu and bathroom at home.
Oh yes, yeah, that I'm sure. Oh, I'm very glad that you mentioned it. For we have discussed this also this morning about, you know, Brother Razak and I were talking about that. So inshallah, we will keep for wudu, we'll keep the we have water line outside, so we can keep pipe and, you know, the keys there. So Brother Razak will have the key and we can use. If somebody unfortunately have to refresh the wudu, yes, there will be a pipe outside. There will be the wudu. For restrooms, we have a gas station very next to the masjid. So if anybody wants to use restroom for some reason, they can always go to the gas station and use the restroom, because we're not opening the building inside, because even if one person will go in, then we have to clean everything. So there, so that's the.
I have a question for the imam on a similar note. Could you make tayammum in this situation, or the water is too close? You can't.
What is there?
You know, the thing is that this whole thing right now is like a 10-minute thing. So I mean, unless there's someone that has like a really, like, you know, some type of emergency, there should be no cases of people having to use the bathroom for that 10-minute thing, because of course, you know, that just kind of makes it complicated. So, you know, whatever it is, make sure you do it at home and then come over. Now, can you do tayammum? I don't think so, because you can go home, make wudu, and still pray on time.
No, no, but brother, but we have the water there. I mean, we will be providing the water outside, so it's not a question of going home, because there will be water pipe outside. Water will be available.
Don't complain that it's not hot.
Yeah. What's that?
Don't complain that it's not warm or hot water.
Yeah, they can. Yeah, there's endless complaints. So I know these are things, but I think, you know, I'm glad that somebody mentioned about this restroom, because yes, we said okay. Restroom is just right next to the gas station. They have restrooms open. They can always use the restroom over there. And inshallah, we will, you know, but we'll keep the water there in case if somebody wants to refresh their wudu. They can always do the wudu. Again, everyone should have their own prayer rug, because we are not providing any prayer rugs, inshallah. Brother Suhail, is that the format? Everybody should
bring your own mask, bring your own rug,
and also their own face mask. I think in these days, everybody has a face mask at home with them. But in case if somebody don't have, we will have some a box of face masks at the masjid. Simply ask that, and then please wear that one. Don't be arrogant that, oh, I don't want to wear this. Is, you know, if somebody will do that, then we may need to ask them to please leave for the safety for others and for that person. And,
yeah, this is something that is, you know, if for some reason you don't have a face mask and we have run out of face masks, then you cannot say, oh, you know, I'm just one guy. You will have to leave that day and come back the next day with a face mask or until we have them, just to make sure that everyone is following the same rules, inshallah.
Okay, and just yeah, brother Allah.
Okay, actually, just again going back to the next step about making the other prayers like Zohr and Asr. Now there are two ways we can do it. Now, at one time I was taking care of the Zohr prayer. Brother Dusty was taking care of the Asr prayer. So one way to do it is just when we EC agrees and we finalize this, that we can go there, and then whoever's want to come can come at that time. The other way, maybe better organized, that if people who are, we instead of assigning a certain 5 or 6 people for each prayer, if we know that specific people coming to this prayer, so that we know that nobody else will be coming, so that we have better control. So these are the two options.
Yeah, I think, these are good options, but let's start, as Brother Sohail, and the EC have suggested, to start with the first step, and inshallah, step by step. Hopefully, by that time, we'll have some clear idea. I think Brother Siddiqui is here, and I think, honestly, to myself, we need to invent the things how we can live with this. It's not going to go away. We just need to learn how to live with the situation, and then accordingly change the plan and do the things. Because if we think that it's by the end of 2 weeks or 3 weeks it's going to go away and the life will become back to normal, at least personally, I don't think so it's going to happen. So we just need to learn how to live with the situation, and then do whatever we can able to make sure everybody is safe. And if somebody already coughing, if somebody have sneezing, or somebody have cold, or whatever, again, request is not to come on that day. And even remember, and don't worry about that, oh, I'm not going there, that maybe, even if there are 2 people or 3 people are there, Jamaat is there, done. So the obligation from the community is done, because even 2 or 3 people are there, the namaz, inshallah, the prayer will take place. So don't worry about that. Okay, I'm sick and only 5 people are going there. If I'm not going to go, only 3 left. Alhamdulillah, Allah will provide the best way.
Brother Gil, I have a question about the youth.
Yes.
So I'm just afraid with with us going back, we'll take our kids with us, and they miss each other, and we should be very careful about them socializing or playing in the playground. So what are the rules? How are we going to control that?
Well, first of all, I think between the prayer times, the main gate will be still locked, and like it will be open at the Fajr, and then after Fajr, when we leave, the gate will be locked again. And same thing before Isha, about 5-10 minutes before Isha, we'll unlock the gate, and then will be locked after the Fajr. So just like right now, what we're doing, there's no one, no kids are coming and playing. I think there were some neighborhood kids were initially playing in the basketball. We already told them no, so they're not doing anymore. But I don't think so any kids are coming from our own community, to play in the playground or on soccer field. And I guess that's what, at the end of the day, it's a responsibility of the parents.
Sure,
Because,
sure. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure, this is not happening.
I can tell you, there are 10 different places the kids can enter through the masjid. I'm not going to describe that. They are there. You can put all the locks, you can do the things. If somebody wants to come, there are different ways to enter the prayer. But alhamdulillah, I think so far people are, observing the seriousness of this condition and everything. So
inshallah. And also, what is the plan for this coming Friday prayer?
Okay, Friday prayers are, I think Imam is going to khutbah, just like, he's doing virtual. So far, I think we are not ready for the Friday prayers. Is that Brother Sohail?
Right, this is just for, for the Isha was the discussion. We can add Fajr, but this is only for the regular prayers. No Jummah, no Taraweeh, and
that's again, I think there are multiple things different people have in mind, and we have, in discussion. Like, for instance, the Friday prayer could be happen 6 feet apart in a soccer field, or even the Eid one, if we need to do. So, I mean, these are all the things are there, but nothing. So let's start one thing at a time, one step at a time. And inshallah, yes, eventually, we need to do the Friday prayer, which is, congregation prayer. But I think at that time, it'll be difficult to. So let's see how this format will go. And inshallah, if everybody AC feels and Imam feels there, and this is now we can move to the next step, and so inshallah we'll move to the next step. So
inshallah, jazakallah khair.
Okay, so I guess this is the information right now what we have for the from BOD side and the EC side, but I think my request to send this link of our we have kept that our goal of collection, because we have about our EC budget for spending is almost about $400,000 per year. That's even after cutting the budget to the minimum, what, 400,000. So we need to collect at least $200,000 in this format in this next week. So I'm giving this number so everybody can sleep on that and open the heart and mind and things like that. And even those people who have not participated before in this summit. So inshallah, what I feel that every single one, now everybody realize that what is the importance of the masjid. So I think this will be easy for everyone to understand that when the masjid is closed, half of our life, social life is gone. I mean, it's not only for the prayers, but many, many things. So inshallah, I think we should be open, our heart, mind. I know it's a difficult time for everyone. A lot of people have lost their jobs or cut down the hours and everything like that. But inshallah, Allah has given us the guarantee that it will never reduce our own risk as long as we are providing that. So if we believe in that guarantee, if we believe in that Allah's word, inshallah, there should not be an issue to correct this $200,000. Brother Allah,
okay. There's something else for those of you on Facebook. We have introduced a new way to contribute and make donations. So if you look to the post when we have the Imam have the Friday khutbah, you will find a button under the post to say donate for the Islamic State of Augusta. So again, if you're on Facebook, you're enjoying the Imam's khutbah, just remember, click on it and make a donation.
I think we will conclude, inshallah. I think it's time is over, right? So
yeah, we have 1 week left, for the fundraising. So I hope we reach, the biggest number of people.
Inshallah,
well, alhamdulillah, I just received this call and somebody pledged that amount. So inshallah, so alhamdulillah, the same way, if somebody wants to pledge ahead of time for whatever reason they're unable to attend that one, that next week, so they can call, and alhamdulillah, I think our pledges are starting. So inshallah, but I think our community is always very generous. Alhamdulillah, as Imam have mentioned, that in a small community like this, we have accomplished many things which the bigger community is unable to do. So I'm hoping that inshallah this goal or this difficult time will pass without any difficulty, inshallah. So I'm going to request all the young doctors, old doctors, and engineers and teachers, and anything to just come forward and do the obligation, inshallah, and we'll go from there. And we will keep on sending these reminders.
I want to mention two things after you're done.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, number one is something that I mentioned at the end of the Jummah virtual khutbah, that even if you think that you are not going to be donating, please still join us in the program, because that is, with a lot of people there, it actually is motivating to other people, so inshallah, when you pass on this message to your friends, other people that you know from the community, ask them that, can you please join us in the program even if you cannot donate. I mentioned a little bit about how just to add numbers to a good cause helps that cause. So that's number one. Number two is that you have heard that we are now opening up for Isha prayer starting today. If you pass this message to someone who did not attend with us, please don't just tell them that the masjid is open. Tell them that the masjid is open for Isha prayer and Fajr prayer with these rules, that face masks are required and social distancing is required, and it will be prayed outside, and it will only be Isha prayer. Because I don't want people to come and say, oh, I heard the masjid opened up and they didn't make wudu, they didn't use the bathroom, and now they're asking for all these accommodations, which will kind of defeat the purpose of how we're opening the way we're opening. That's all.
I think I'm looking here, message somebody sent me, is this a new potluck? At 1 o'clock, sister or brother, whoever sent this thing, they want to do potluck. I think it'll be difficult. we can show the virtual potluck, show your dishes, and inshallah eat in the
actually we'll all be fasting at the time.
Yeah, everybody will be fasting and eat at start time. I guess this is all we have. So anyone the end of the meeting, anyone wants to do the adhan? Or I think
Imam, inshallah.
Go ahead.
Just regarding again, if you somebody from send us by email all the instructions so that we can send it to other people.
Yeah, Imam is in charge for the email now, because I sent him the links and everything. So because initially we wanted to do the Zoom, because Zoom I was doing, but now we're formatting the Zoom and YouTube Live, and inshallah we will do a trial run among us to make sure that it's all working fine. We don't want to do any technology difficulty on that day because it's very important. So inshallah we will do that. And Imam, can you send the links? And
yeah, we will try our best to prevent technological difficulties. However, you know how it goes. In the best of
I think alhamdulillah this format is working very fine. I think today around everything. So inshallah, may Allah I think will keep us good. And we have mashallah good technical people in the community. I'm not one of them, but the other people are there, inshallah. So anyone wants to volunteer the adhan?
The Imam is in the masjid. I think it would be the best.
Okay, we'll give the Imam then.
All right. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. We're ending the meeting.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.